Exi Nasan Jimnen Diki Chekandi, Sumba Yinayang, Chasan, Tianjin Jawa Chunwa, and Tianjin Jawa Chunwa, Tardu, and Che Tamja, Anzulia, Nawa Nashi, more Rashi Majubares. In other Rashi Majuba Yinaya, and the Meva Besene, Meva Mare, Che Ganisinepa, Lupa, Tanya Pataba, Yoris, and Diniki on. Tartuna Sanji Chekani, so much as Ranzuki, Dentiki, Toyak, Dondala, Tabasun, Janjaris. They are and the Sungubi Jumjan Garesene, and then Ranzu call the Dreje, call the Joe, or it is on Ranzuku, Kuru Dunga, Tada Dreje, Tabatobichu, Sumba Janja Rimato, and Diniki Masumba, and Jio Marejere, a decorum Casan Shiji, Kisimang Decor Shirwa.
So good evening. Then last time we spoke about how everything that Buddha Shakyamuni Buddha taught can be understood through through his presentation of dependence arising, or maybe to express it more clearly, through understanding the presentation, one can understand everything the Buddha taught in a more profound way through applying the understanding of his teachings on dependence arising to every topic that he taught. And furthermore, we looked at last time how all phenomena, whatever phenomenon appears to our mind, whatever phenomenon that is, it appears as if it is inherently existent, meaning it's independent and unchanging. However, when we investigate, we come to see that no phenomenon exists in this way. So despite appearing to exist in this way, that is not how it abides in reality. But that doesn't mean, though, that phenomena don't exist at all. Rather, they exist as mere imputations by mind. Then moreover, last time we also looked at how all the Buddha's teachings, no matter what the topic was, they were motivated by love and compassion so as to enable beings to develop the minds within themselves, which will lead to a liberation from suffering, freedom from samsara. So this is the goal of all the teachings that the Buddha gave. So that in brief is what we looked at last time.
And that to Basangi Jimdin Digi, Azuliabe, Mase Gajin Chimbushu, Gajin Chimbushu, Sanyu Jimden Gajin, Da Yundin Digipa, Jimbu Tone, and Sanyu Jimden Digi, and Nizike. Sanyu Jimden, Sanyu Jimden Tiki, Sonshiki, Temple Delia, and Betanzuki, Gushevik Tone, Debadan, Gubi Tone, and the Yamlin Chegor, and Igor Mashuache.
Tonight, then, the verse we're going to start with. Here, this verse serves to, through this verse, it serves for us to recall the tremendous kindness of Buddha Shakyamuni, as well as his incomparable qualities. And it's independent on Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings that faith in those teachings arise, as well as respect for him and the teachings. And this then serves to inspire us in our practice. So this is what we're going to start looking at tonight.
That's it. Emma Hugi Dembani, Gangi Navi Lamsonga, Deda Tamji Shigurchir, Kedin Zimbarus, Sumigus, and Dibar 66.
That's the 39th verse. How marvelous your teachings are, since they bring peace to all whose ears they reach, who would not respectfully follow your teachings. Or the last line could be translated as, who would not respectfully uphold your teachings.
Emma said that the Chike Bemasi Yagushuri said
the very first word in this verse is emaho, and that means something like how marvelous or how fantastic, how amazing.
Kyugi Demba ni Sura, that Kyu said yes, and you jumped in the Sura, that's on you jumped in the Demba Sura. That's on you Kyugi Demba ni said, San you jumped in the Demba Sura, San you jumped in the Demba de la, and then Nyungore, Lungi Topi Demba said, the Lungi Demba says Nyungorwa.
Then we see your teachings. So your teachings, so the you refers to Buddha Shakyamuni, and then the teachings refers to his both his scriptural teachings as well as the scriptural lineage of teachings as well as the realizational lineage of teachings.
나 tope tempa se sangye jimlen digi ane songche bi che de le yang zo tö sam kom sum nyamlen che lam gyule gene da lam de gyule ge lam bene da ma zo ge laba sum tsudimi laba dinge jingi laba shiral ge laba sum yu du bi ge lam ge namsha de ge chasan da tope tempa se cha gore tope yen den de ge
Deni tope yen di sangye ge che yodebe
상기의 최 송발에 때내 아주 최섬 검소지 냠내지 람귤에게 람디게라 또베 연대서 디에네 델리아 안에 또베 템바서 그래.
So it's, independence on receiving teachings of the Buddha Dharma, and not just receiving one or two, but many, reflecting on them and meditating on them, that one will be able to train in the three trainings of ethics and concentration and wisdom, leading to the cultivation of virtuous paths within our continuum. And these virtuous paths are a quality of realization.
나디 도베데 람 냠내지 람 디게 도베데 마세. 다 룽기 템바 시데 상유 줌네디 송셰기 최디게 송디게레 상유 줌네 송셰베 송 최몽고 송예 송디게라 안데 룽기 템바 시고레.
The scriptural, so that would refer, so these realizations that arise in one's continuum, these then are the realizational teachings, and those that are the scriptural teachings are those that are being taught, so the teachings of the Buddha. That is what's meant by the scriptural teachings. Tope tempade, de nyamnente kengi semla kiagiare, yamane shakya tupa ki tukla kiaso.
람 나서 람. 람럽도 람 냠내 지금 차상길에 기로.
수이나.
수이나 람 냠내 지금다 벤 초람바 졸람바 통람바 곰람바 세대상 코로나 주기라 냠내 지금 기기를 기기로 곰 잡지 냠내 지금 사이유 수이 최디 당보 퇴 대도나 안에도 삼당 되네 곰제도 람귤에 기용으로 되네 람귤에 기 람차상 다 똑배된 말이에요. 다디 년도에다 자주 sem바다 랑자다 네 상기를 차상기를 연구로
So I've just confirmed what I said was correct, so that the teachings of the Buddha are the realization of the scriptural teachings, and the realizational teachings are those that arise in the continuum of the practitioners. And again, I went on to say practitioners on the various paths, and whether they are of the hero type or the solitary realizer type or the bodhisattva type. Those realizations in their continuum, those are the realizational teachings.
근데 룽기 템바세디 상기기마 최 송시베 송송디기 땡주 도당 근데 나다 되는게 안디서 네 상기 송야디 송디기 룽기 템바체거와.
And the scriptural teachings, and these are the teachings that came from the Buddha, whether they are of the sutra lineage or the tantric lineage. These are what constitute the scriptural teachings.
지상 상기기 템바 라면도 저게 상기 템바서 고용도네 다 상기 템바텔라 딩이데 삼당고 다 상기 템바라도 다 템바텔라 룽게 템바다 도베 템바 니요레스 도베 템바세디 다 냠는 상기 송셰베 최리아 냠는 제제 계가 람디게라 도베 템바라고레스 다 마상기 송셰베게 최 아니 송디게라네 다 룽게 템바라고레스 시데 한도스지네 먼저 상기 템바라용도네 다 송 룽게 템바다 도베 템바 니딜고 고레 디마도 샹다 상기 템바 요마레.
So when you hear the term Buddha Dharma or the teachings of the Buddha, then understand it to have these two components. The teachings that were propounded by the Buddha, whether of sutra or tantra, these are the scriptural teachings. Those teachings then which are received and reflected and meditated on and arise in the minds of practitioners in their continuums, those mental paths, these mental paths are what are meant by the realizational teachings. So the Buddha Dharma has these two types, scriptural teachings and realizational teachings. And the scriptural teachings were those propounded by the Buddha, and the realizational teachings are those that are generated in the minds of practitioners.
디나진다 상지 유송셰비기 철야 퇴섬 검술제 냠는제 나는 소수기 냠는 야고제 냠용의 토안에 마 송셰비기다 베네 공부루르다 파바 토메다 전주센 바다 년되다 라게 호랑 저기 송셰비기 땡지 먹고요와 제세 룽기 때 바차고래
Eller den konso sungsунang du di yang lungi tempa.
Be sung mangoira peche mangoira di lungi tempa. Koran zuge nyamne je ki lam dige tope tempa che. Koran zuge sung shepe ke sung da lungi tempa de la sanji sung ma de shanda dige lungi tempa re mare lamna sanji sung de lungi tempa re. Da sanji sung ma be da janju semba da nyan de da ran jo koran zuge nyamne che che koran zuge ma che sung shepe sung dige lungi tempa che gore che.
However, the scriptural teachings of the Buddha are not limited just to Buddha Shakyamuni himself. So those great beings who gave rise to the realizational teachings in their own continuum, and then propounded the Buddha Dharma, such as Nagarjuna and Asanga and many other great bodhisattvas, as well as hearers and solitary realizers. So these great practitioners who had given rise to the realizational teachings within their own continuum, their further teachings then would also be counted as scriptural teachings. So therefore, the scriptural teachings, the lineage of the scriptural teachings, doesn't it only refer to the teachings from Buddha Shakyamuni, but also from those great beings who gave rise to the realizational teachings and then taught further.
Na sanyu jumden de sangye ne chue ma sung nyelya chue nyamne je yomarsen yorwada yorwa denigi chue nyamne je ne an lam gyule de lam nyamne je yor deso ane sanyu jumden de ta denga temba shagya tu bi temba rebesne deso marela horde karasne sangye shanda de temba chadio 진나다 sanyu jumden de temba sedi sanyu jumden koron sangye je koron chue sung yadi san koron temba koron chue sung wala dene di 상이 좀 되는 게 손실을 취해 된 냠수 렌제 도배 연된 게되가 람디게라 어디서 상이 좀 되는 게 템바레서 그래 다 디니엘야 상이 좀 되는 최마송 니엘야 상이 현다게 손실비게 되는 그런 속에 냠렌제 람규레 게 람디게다 양 그런 상이 되다 디게 템바레 지상 저게다 냐마 상이 샤수 외송서 상이 외송이 템바세다 템바샤게 템바 뒤에서 개발로 가려 요래서는 냐마 상이 외송 그런 게 냠렌제 상기고 봐도 그런 거 송제 안 송집에 송디 상유에 송기 템바 롱기 템바 책으로 다 되네게 상유서 그런 송집이 최대라 되네다 로마망법이 냠는 제주 퇴섬 검수 냠는 제 람귤에 또베인데 람귤에 기려 람되게 상유에 송기 아니 가서로 또베 템바 책으로 다다당한테 템바 책에 투비기 그런 거 냠는 제 상유고 봐도 그런 거 송집이 송디게 아니 롱기 상유 점는 되게 롱기 템바 다 상주 줍는 디게 손시베 최대라 때네 퇴섬 검소치 냠는 정한소길 또베 람귤에 게 람디게 냠는 지 람차상 다 또베 템바 디 상주 줍는 디게 템바 샤게 투베 또베 템바 세지 모두시
So we see that Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, these are included in the scriptural teachings, and then the beings who came to practice these teachings, put them into practice and generate these paths in their minds, they gave rise to the realizational teachings. And when they further propounded the Buddha Dharma, their teachings then too would be included in the scriptural teachings. So does that then mean that prior to Buddha Shakyamuni arising or attaining Buddhahood, that there was no Buddha Dharma in the world, or there were no scriptural teachings in the world? So that's not the case at all, because when Buddha Shakyamuni, or the being that was to become the Buddha Shakyamuni, was training and cultivating paths in his continuum, he was then giving rise to realizational, the lineage of realizational teachings in his continuum, based on the scriptural lineages of the previous Buddhas, such as Buddha Kashyapa, as well as the other propounders of Buddha Kashyapa's lineage. So therefore, before the being that was to become Buddha Shakyamuni became a Buddha, then there was certainly both scriptural and realizational teachings in the world. And they had started at that time with the previous founder Buddha, or wheel-turning Buddha, Buddha Kashyapa. And then through his teachings, beings practiced and gave rise to the realizational lineage of the teachings in their continuum, and they propounded teachings, and these then were included in the scriptural lineage of teachings of Buddha Kashyapa. And independent on those, Buddha Shakyamuni arose, or the being that was to become Buddha Shakyamuni did so and arose as a Buddha. And then all those beings who then later followed Buddha Shakyamuni, and who having received the scriptural lineage of teachings and gave rise to the realizational lineage within themselves, they propounded teachings within the lineage of Buddha Shakyamuni's scriptural teachings, as they were students or followers of Buddha Shakyamuni. So therefore, the Buddha Dharma would have existed long before, in time immemorial, long before Buddha Shakyamuni himself.
Dine zanda kyugi tenpa kyugi tenpa ni sido sangye chumnendi ki tenpa tila tobe tenpa lungi tenpa niyore. Ine dina dada ngosu sheye di sangye chumnendi lungi tenpa de shikore. Tobe tenpa de yodo yore. Ine ngosu dada sheye di lungi tenpa de shikore. Tenpa sheye di ngosu sheye di goya di lungi tenpa de koko kore.
Then returning to the first line here when the term teachings, this directly refers, or explicitly refers, to the scriptural teachings of Buddha Shakyamuni. Indirectly will refer to the realizational teachings.
Dene gyudi meba so du ane maho bana dene gyudi meba so sawane de chinje la khol dunga yong tu mares meba so koreje andi nangbo di sun korwa.
And what is meant then by the scriptural teachings of the Buddha? So this is what we've been hearing up to this point in some detail. So specific to our context here is the presentation on suffering and the cause of suffering. And what is the cause of all the sufferings that beings experience? It's the contaminated karma that beings have accumulated themselves under the influence, under the control of their very own afflicted minds. So this is the cause of the entire variety of coarse and subtle sufferings that all beings, all ordinary beings, are experiencing. And how does one become liberated from this state, the state of suffering? That can only come about if the afflicted minds, which lead to the accumulation of karma, of negative karma, if these are eliminated. And the only way to completely eliminate all the afflicted minds without exception is to eliminate their root cause, the ignorance of self-grasping, or the ignorance of true grasping. This one afflicted mind is the root cause from which all suffering comes, because it's from this mind that all the other afflictions follow, as well as the accumulation of karma. So this is the method, this is the technique. There is no other way other than the elimination of the afflicted minds, and the only way to eliminate the wide variety of afflicted minds completely is to eliminate their root cause.
Sanda Tony to Bello de Combala Tonyo Tokores, Chesan Tony di Ganestokure, Tianjin Chetam Jeda, Rangshima, Timber Jubalana, Chetam Jiguda, Yang, Chasha Kala, Matopa, Rang when you do Guogine, Joya meeting and the Timber Juba, Rashi Juba, Rangi Tsin Juba, said Dennis Legorova. Chesan Dinity Yomares, the Karachi Meva Karelana, Kala Matio Bigger, Rang when you do Guogine, Joya meeting Yomares. 가르랍네 최간에 지나 지질에 띵고레스 띵용고레 마도 띵용 요조아요레스 띵고레스 지산 마덴바지요 말레스 띵디게 남샤시 지산 두스tin 띵디게 남샤 두스tin 삼 땅이 땅야도 되네 강섬지리아 강라이 마도 랑문에 두바 자오기 민두 선배로디 기투고레스 디동연도 불렀어요 지산다 최담지 강라이마 랑문에 두바 매나다 매바레베 최산다 매바레베선 다 매바 말에 랑문에 두바디 다신 집에 채나 랑문 두바 요마레스 이나야 파 뢰샤바 점예 뢰파 탄이 다바 점예 예데레스 제가 예반자 탄이 다바 점 예바자 규단 긴 자와 규어줘야 돼 예데레스 사실电这个 남샤 디송고로와
What has just been mentioned then is that the only way to be freed of suffering, the only way for beings to completely transcend suffering, is to eliminate the root cause of all suffering. And that is this ignorance of self-grasping, or the ignorance of true grasping. That is the only solution that exists. And then the only way to actually cultivate that solution or apply that solution, the only technique to abandon this ignorance of self-grasping, is to realize a mind that is completely opposite to it, completely contrary to this ignorance, and that is a wisdom. And the mind, the specific wisdom that is contrary to the specific ignorance, is the wisdom realizing emptiness. So this is the one method, the one technique to completely free oneself from suffering. And the way then to give rise, to cultivate this wisdom realizing emptiness within one's own continuum, is to first come to see how phenomena appear to the mind. And the way that phenomena appear when one looks is they appear to be inherently existent, which means they appear as if they are independent. In other words, that they are not influenced by anything at all. And the second characteristic is they appear to be unchanging. So no matter what phenomena, no matter what phenomenon one investigates, when one investigates how it appears to the mind, it appears in this way, as inherently existent, meaning it appears to be independent and unchanging. But then when one investigates to see if the phenomenon exists in the way that it appears, one comes to see that it does not. And that is because when one investigates, one cannot find this independent phenomenon that is unchanging. One cannot find this phenomenon. One then comes to understand that the phenomenon is empty of existing in the way that it appears. Or to put it another way, it's empty of existing inherently. And this is an understanding of emptiness. And the mind that understands this is a mind of wisdom, and it's a wisdom that is understanding emptiness. And then the investigation then continues, because one has now come to see that when one comes to understand firstly how the phenomenon appears, then secondly investigates to see if it exists in that way, nothing can be found. The phenomenon cannot be found at all. The phenomenon that exists in the way that it appears cannot be found at all. But then on the other hand, if one does not investigate, there's a phenomenon, something that functions, that exists. It just does not exist in the way that it appears. So then how does it exist? Rather, it is a dependency, a dependent arising. Dependence on causes and conditions, dependence on parts, dependence on imputation by mind. Or in brief, dependent one thing on another. So this is how it can be said that something exists. In particular, or in brief, as a mere imputation by mind.
Tenzinggi nyembo di da tongyo tobe shera di gonggo res. Da di gomba zamgi ane yang kowa le zhotugu ma re, skare lamna di robo kar kowasan jimba dan tsurim soba, ane zunri samde, ane di tongyo toya la nye la ya jimba dan tsurim soba zunri samde, ane di dinge zin di kogurwa, dinegi nyamnen chasan che gore se jimba tsurim soba zunri samde, da dinge zin da dinegi tongyo tobe sherab chasan nyamnen che gore es. Dinegi nyamnen che gore es, dinegi su chepe sungdi da kyuki tenpa ni sidu, dine sung chepe sungdi la, kyuki tenpa ni se, tenpa di, jisan sangyo jumnen digi dinegi lamdun na shayagi sungdi la, kyuki tenpa si gore da, lungi tenpa se di.
So this then, that has just been described, is the antidote to this ignorance of self-grasping, the wisdom realizing emptiness. So the wisdom realizing emptiness, being a wisdom, it's a mind. And it's a mind that is generated in dependence on the kind of meditation that has just been described. And it is this wisdom that is the antidote to the root cause of all our suffering, the ignorance of self-grasping. However, the cultivation of this mind, it needs many helpers or assistants. And these assistants or helpers, they serve to power and support this wisdom, or the cultivation, the development of this wisdom. So what are the helpers of this wisdom that realizes emptiness? Well, these are the minds of generosity, of ethical conduct, of patience, joyous perseverance, and concentration. And all five of these need to be trained in. All five of these minds need to also be developed in addition, or perhaps in conjunction, with the wisdom realizing emptiness. And this then constitutes the path to attaining liberation from suffering. And that is what is being referred to here in this first line, with how wonderful, how marvelous your teachings are. These teachings from the Buddha, the scriptural lineage of teachings that teach the wisdom realizing emptiness, as well as all its supporters of the cultivation, how to cultivate the minds of generosity, ethical conduct, patience, joyous perseverance, and concentration. All of these scriptural teachings are what are being praised here in the first line.
That's Nibadilla, Gangi Navi Lamson Asir. Gangi Navi Lamson Asidi, Navi Lasan Amcho Sigurva, Lamson As, now Amcho the Gova Sigurva, Lamson. The Gargoyas in the Jinigi, the San Yujum Dempadi, San Yujum Dendigi, Anzu, Kowaler, Koridunga Tadale, Drivi Chirdu, and the Samotombani Namshata. The Gomgures and Jimba Sudim Subanyam and those Shewores, the Nigger Sun Shembegi, Sung di Gangi in the Gansa Sunechigi, Sosugi Tue, Amchola Tues or Amcholi, Lama Chisania, Shuche, Shunyane, Tebe Dundela, Yane, Yando, some Dadu, Dene, Tebe Dundading to how good is. It's the how going to Dundadi, and then Dunda, how good we get Semang Evany to Dundadi, Yane to Gom Sid. 지사 데네고 공고레서 강게 나위 람송 와시도 대시 산지기 아서 송셰기 데네고 송데 야네 야도 퇴 퇴비 된다라 야네는 삼당 데네고 퇴비 된다다 하고요도 된다들이야 공고레서 제한테 강가랑 남수 강게 나위 람송 와서 this morning.
And looking at the next line, which for us is the third line, whose ears they reach. So this then, to translate this in a different way, it literally whose ears hear these. The these then refers to these marvelous teachings, these teachings on that have presented our true experiences in cyclic existence. In other words, the variety of subtleties of sufferings that we experience, as well as the teachings on their causes, as well as their teachings on their solution to these causes. In other words, what are paths and how to develop these paths within oneself. So all those teachings, whoever hears these, whosever ears they reach, then they need to engage in this process of hearing, reflecting, meditating repeatedly over a sustained period. So in the literal translation of what for us is in this third line, whoever whose ever ears hear these teachings. This particular term for hear is the same word as for hear or study in hear, reflect, and meditate. So just through seeing this word, which we don't have here at all, of hear, it implies behind it hear, reflect, and meditate repeatedly over a sustained period on the meaning of the entire path of the teachings that have been presented here.
kowe dunga yu gyu zo nyomo ba di ma bang me ba cha ro shi ru res chisa nyomo ba kowe nyomo ba pa ya gi da shi gyu chi se di kowe ya gi gyu di le da nyomo ba de ji ru ba chisa le da nyomo ba pa ya ge tap di de gong gu le song wan za di ba song wa na xin jing a zhe te de na sam dang gong ba yin na chisa nyomo kowe le ya gi dunga cha ya yu gyu nyomo ba de bang gre es wa sa bo na ja bang gre es.
Then for us, the second line. This second line, this is the result of the third line. So in other words, these marvelous teachings of the Buddha, whoever hears them, and hears them not just once or twice, but repeatedly, again and again, as well as reflect on the meaning of these teachings, these then lead to the result of the development or the bringing of peace. So in other words, it's through coming to understand our current situation and its causes, coming to understand that something entirely different is possible, that a cessation of even the subtlest forms of suffering is possible, and a cessation that is never interrupted by a moment of suffering again, that is possible through the cultivation of the various paths in one's continuum, through hearing and reflecting on that, and developing that result within oneself, then peace will come to one's mind.
Deda tamji shigyur chirse tsik daga donda dina. Deda tamji shigyur chin deda tamji sayadi denegi tösom gomsom jehen gasa tamji ele gore sui jebe ne jehen chasang se gorwa. Deda tamji shigyur chirse delya dene chigyo. Bene janju sem ki kunwa janju sem nyamne mache bache dongyu tubi sherap nyamne dongyu tubi sherap kom ane ji jimba도 수준 쇠바 전주 삼대 dongyu tubi sherap di nyamne jeba ina ane denegi nyamne jigan chasa janju sem mebache ro mebache nyamne mache bache dene nyamne jigan chasa garchi gorasne garchi gor도 nyomoba sabona jeba pangbi pang nyomoba sabon jeba 시네 그래서 탈비고 봐 탈바세 도구리 해야지 지고라 나데네 장주 셈지 군의 랑제 셈자 탐지기 된다라 상주고 봐 진리 토바지 셈베 장주 셈지 군의 랑 장주 셈지 군의 랑네 대신하신 상주 송제바나지 진바 주려서 주는 냠데 삼대 아니 셰랍 동이도 셰랍 디 냠는 제바 이나 아니 가는 거라서네 녀모바 바샤다 제바 바샤다 제바 시네 세디 바샤제 시네 아니 탈도 상이고 봐도 그래서 제가 데네기 냠는 제한 수유 냠는 제외네 데네기 냠는 제한 차상 아니 자주심기 말씀 바이나네 데네기 냠는 제한 차상 아니 지게 중보 마소바 균중보 마고하지 아니 탈비고 봐도 그래 자주심기 군에나 자주심 냠는 제비 토네 디 파치주기 냠는 제바 이나 아니 상이고 봐 녀모바 바샤다 제바 시시에 빵지는 시와서는 빵와라 그래 아니 상이고 봐도 그래 스고다
And die Tsikang Sumpa Shigyuwa.
Deda tamji Shigyur
She was in a pangpa.
Pangpa sura. Nyomo ba nyawra shiwa la dura meba su pangpa sigurwa.
Ja, dan kena Tsikang Sumpa Chikbu Sumpa. So for us then in our fourth line, so just the first part, who would, so just this here, but another way for this explanation we could just say whoever or whomever. So this then means that whoever were to receive or to hear and reflect repeatedly over a sustained period on these marvelous teachings, they would attain peace. So what this means is that through someone receiving teachings and reflecting on them, as well as giving rise to the variety of mental paths that are required, such as those relating to the practices, the supporting practices of generosity, ethics, patience, joy, perseverance, and concentration, as well as the key practice of wisdom. If someone cultivates these minds and trains well within them, then there is certainty that they will with great speed attain liberation from suffering. They'll attain freedom from suffering. They'll be liberated from cyclic existence in its entirety and attain a state of lasting peace through having abandoned the afflicted minds together with their seeds. Other practitioners engaging in the same trainings of ethics, of generosity, patience, joy, perseverance, concentration, as well as the practice of wisdom, but doing so under a motivating mind of bodhicitta that has arisen through the cultivation of love and compassion, then such practitioners, they will go beyond a state of mere peace. They will go beyond the elimination of the afflicted minds together with their seeds, and eventually even abandon the imprints of the ignorance of self-grasping, and thereby attain enlightenment, and thereby arise as a Buddha for the benefit of all beings.
so tösum komsum je nyamlen je ba ina tar바당 탐지 캠피고 뭐 톱투구 요번에 데니게 톱투기 누바 줘봐 인자 톱투구 요래 김센 대인자 안에 데니게 nyamlen je 한다 남제 요간 캐바 상얘기 데니게 숨기 취될 누바다 데니 연된 두선 통내 통간디기 데니게 남제 요간디기 캐바디기 대상이 좀내디기 땜바델이야 즉 마가칸 수요를 빼야 오시우도 신 준비 준비권에 내려 상유 좀는 데다 상유 좀는 송제배 최대려 대바당 구바 쇼 제제 대그제다 소수기 냠내제다 좀바 배주 신비권에 준비 신비권에 냠는 지고를 되네 개바디기 되네 하고나 냠는 마제가 수요를 해서 그러다 지기로 와서 그러다 근데 들어가서 더지 잘라지 직자치 무슈다 제치 무슈지 뭐 하거나 수인아디 빼면서 다고 슈제기로 가고 슈제다 다 먹어나는 바샤샤기로 와 어디 나신다 상유 좀내도 송셰비 최리 내게 연대 임바치 하 고간디게리게 빼면서 구셰다 구바다 안에 제 델이야 다나체 전주 신부군의 비시 장준 지기리 해서 그래.
So just like, so look at the rest of the fourth line. So just like if someone were to find a large diamond, and this person also knows the value of what they found, who amongst any such person would not value and take good care of what they had found? So in the same way here, the rhetorical question is answered. Who has had the opportunity to hear many teachings and reflect on their meaning, coming to see the incredible value and the potential that these teachings present, who would not strive with joy and with diligence and with effort to cultivate those teachings within their own continuum? And this then is the meaning of the rhetorical question here in the fourth line.
데니게 송셰비게 최대gel이야 퇴섬 공숨 제바이나 데니게 제바이나 즉 안에 소소이다도 콜위 동아 차상 다데 동아 규단 제바데 사번 규단 제 사번 차상 빵투두스 제자다 장슈심기 군에 랑진네 제 진비토네 제바나 바차다 제바 빵진 데니게 산유고바 톱투두스 데니게 톱투에게 누바 예딩 빼 마세 야고송하디 데니게 빼 마세 야고레샤 선 대귀 첨부 쉬우 계셔 지 대시 직당보디 에마호 세 디스월드 뱀마스 야고래시 데니기 연된 통전에 상기가 송들이 연된 데니시 뱀마스 야고래시 데니기 냠는 제바인데 냠는 지금 차상원에라는 탈바코와 코와를 저제 dengi dewa di top tudu pe ma se ya gore ya song sha san yi jumlen de ngang zul ya song de ge zhen qian bu xiu ji dang an de za qian bu xiu san yi song ye ge che di pe ma se za qian bu de san yi jumlen de ko rong ngang zul pe ma se ge zhen qian bu xiu re sha ji de pe ya gore sha se ge ma se di dang ji dang bo di ge de ge ma se di se go da na la
Here, Che Rinpoche is praising praising Buddha Shakyamuni. He's praising him because through having heard extensive teachings and reflected and meditated on these teachings, he has come to gain certainty that the Buddha Dharma, this can lead through the cultivation of the Buddha Dharma within one's own continuum. This can lead to the complete elimination of the ignorance of self-grasping together with its seeds, and thereby one can attain liberation from suffering. One can be freed entirely from suffering. And moreover, if motivated by bodhicitta, one can even eliminate the imprints of this ignorance, and thereby arise as a Buddha oneself. So with great joy at this, he praises both the Buddha and the Buddhist teachings. And that's we see here in the first line with this the Tibetan word of emaho, or marvelous, or how wonderful. And he's praising both the Buddha for his tremendous kindness on having endured in his training for so long, and then praising him for his compassion in that he then shared these teachings, the full and unmistaken path. He shared this with beings. And moreover, the teachings that he shared, the quality of those teachings being complete and unmistaken, this too here is being praised by Lama Tsongkhapa.
Dondala zik anzuki jik dudu jik shushabayna da sangye jumnen digi sungbegi da anzuki denigi namsha denjige namsha da denigi chue songshabe chue sungdigi la 퇴섬 곰숨 제제 냠len 제바이나 ane 탈바다 탐지기be 고방 톱투고레스 지사 데니 인자 안 데니기 퇴섬 곰숨 데니기 냠len 제겐데기 하고 월 대대비고 하자 델리에 베베즈 친구들이 친구들이 냠len 지고레스 숨고레.
Meaning of this verse then in brief is that when one receives teachings on dependence arising and reflects on them, coming to see their validity and giving rise to a mind of wisdom that's understanding emptiness, one will then gain ever great, as this mind, this understanding grows ever stronger, one's conviction and certainty in these teachings of dependence arising will grow and strengthen because of seeing the tremendous benefit that is coming and will continue to come through one's further cultivation of this understanding. One will gain ever stronger understanding that liberation is possible, freedom is possible. And as this understanding grows ever stronger within oneself, one will naturally make more effort, have greater diligence in applying oneself to the cultivation of this understanding within oneself and having it infuse with one's everyday minds and all one's activities. And this then is a result of having received and reflected on these teachings.
나디기 제르미치기 나즈리아 랍제 가르난 고레스 람나 디숭고르다 가질레 나아주 차상 들라 지게 코위 동화 레 드라마투 바시 다들 봐도 아주 코위 코르지 동화 용어야 돼 막고라 차돼야 돼 코위 동화 드라마도 하야 돼 가르치베레 람나 나디시소레 강게 나위 람송 와스데 녀망 아주 상이기 순예기 최델이야 최섬 곰숨 제제네 냠레 마시비기 찐제나 아주게 네 코발 드라마도 하바레샤소레.
The advice then from Che Rinpoche to ourselves is that despite this immeasurable passage of time that we've existed, we haven't yet attained liberation from suffering. And this is down to us not having yet received sufficient teachings and reflected on them with sufficient power, coming to be able to meditate on them, and give rise to actual realizations and thereby liberation.
And 저기 ngaso nyawa da ida da dundro la so ba dine ke be ne ko san yu chue se na yu lam so ha yo mar nye ko ron ko ka yo mar was je san nye ko ron ko mar ba sa ane ko ne dundal sam da yo mar dundal sam da ma shen za go me yo mar je san dine za dine ngan ju gi ngaso ya nye ma chi mang bo ke je dine ki chue che ko mar ba jin dine la ba res ane dine ki to ne nyam che mar ba chi la so wa da and 아주 밀게베 이내야 야지 최지하고가 말아와지 최지비 튕긴 마사유 연제는 아주 산이 좀 된데 손시비 최디 아주 암초로 마고와레스 마고체네 마고와자 디도나라 삼다야 마중와레 donda sam matuma majunga za gomya maraba je zanga tarpad tamji kimbe ko tomato wadi dado habiku lawadi din sha songorwa.
Over this immeasurable period of time, we would have already taken uncountable rebirths as an animal or as a spirit or as a being in hell. And in those circumstances, we didn't have the ability to receive teachings. We didn't have the opportunity to receive teachings. And there have been countless lifetimes that have been spent in such torment. And there we never had the opportunity to receive teachings or the mental ability to understand those teachings. And even as rebirths, as other rebirths we may have had as human beings, without all the favorable circumstances that are required in order to meet the Buddha Dharma, have interest in it, receive teachings, be able to understand them, as well as having the freedom to train one's mind, to develop one's mind. Without all those favorable circumstances, even in those lives where one had a good human rebirth, one was unable to develop spiritually. So in all these rebirths that we've had, or of the vast number of rebirths we've had, so many, we didn't even have the ability or the opportunity to hear teachings.
망고 산교고 토간 중 탈비고 토간 중어레스 안다다 산예쯤낸 요송에 요송이야 퇴섬 검숨 제겐 냠는 제신 받기에는 아니 균리고 막어와지 탈바 탐지기고 고바 톱투그레스 투고로 와서 오라다.
However, those beings who have had the opportunity to receive teachings of the Buddha Dharma, as well as have the freedom to come to reflect and come to gain realizations of them. So many beings have attained liberation, independence on the Buddha's teachings, attained liberation from suffering, and others have gone even further and under the influence of the mind of bodhicitta have attained enlightenment. And so these beings, though, aren't restricted to historical beings of the past, but there are many in the world now who are training their minds, cultivating these realizations within their continuums right now, rapidly progressing to a state liberated from suffering, and even towards the attainment of full and complete enlightenment.
좀내 요송시비 송델이야 야네 양도 최섬제다 니 돈달에 야네 양도 삼다 되네 검자고 해도 계치부 쉬우래 제가 되네 인자 상여 좀내 요송샤바디 되네게 아주 냠내 제 드린 거가 비어레스 제가 아주 밀리기 톱제 되네기 토야디 철라마 나와지 근데 지금 냠내 약고 지고레스 어디 냠내 약고 제가 이나 나는 나오지네 안탈바 탐지기 보고 톱투그레 송고로
Now in this very lifetime, all of us here, we are human beings. All of us here, not only are we human beings, but we have attained a rebirth that can be called precious because we have the freedom to engage in spiritual development. We have the opportunities to engage in spiritual development, which means we have this incredible, precious opportunity. And it's up to us not to waste it, but to rather utilize this rare and precious opportunity to receive many teachings and reflect on those teachings, coming to understand them in ever more profound ways, and eventually to meditate on them as well. And if we do so, if we do use what remains of this precious opportunity to the fullest of our potential, we can also attain liberation from suffering.
Dine zada sangye jumne dige da jerum chi labja de ngaz dire da sangye jumne dige nga zolya jige dunga taja joje tarba 탐지 기비 고방 토ye donda lamdun jeje dusu nyamne je dine je고레제 송샤바디 디린 고급 유디 안주 nyamne 야고 je 제바이나 안주이네 ane je tarba 탐지 고바 토야려 요보 토야 고급 라그레스 제자 nyamne 야고 제고 쩐주 제제 람 nyamne 야고 제고레스 디린로 제 마도바 제 마제바이나 아니 마오바네 제디 아니 야직 제라마레 덴데요 마레스 마오바네 신네 가와기기메 야 둔조다 다디네기 께와네 야 고가브레요 마로 제사 디네 자 밀리 께베네 야 최지야게 튼킨 다다 참기유메 하고요 말 제사 마오바네 제와스면나 디 야 제가 제 고가브라다 마라 덴덴기네요 말 다데 예디베까베 디베셰디 야고시당 고레에서 다 디링 존리체네 냠네 제고레에서다 제름치가서 랍제디난 거다.
Furthermore, Geshe Rinpoche is giving us advice here that having recognized the preciousness of this opportunity that each and every one of us has achieved, this opportunity that if we utilize what remains of it well, we can attain liberation from suffering, and moreover, we can be of incomparable benefit to others as well. So therefore, he's exhorting us to use what remains of this life well. And as part of this exhortation, he's furthermore encouraging us to remind ourselves of the impermanence of this situation, that there is no certainty as to how long this opportunity will continue, and there certainly is no certainty as to when such an opportunity will come again. None of us can say with certainty what our future rebirths have in store for us. We have no idea as to which realm we will be born in, and even if born as a human, whether we'll have all the required, or the vast array of favorable circumstances that are required in order to be able to receive the Buddha Dharma and cultivate it within our continuums. So therefore we'll be encouraged here to remind ourselves that there is no certainty how long this opportunity will remain, and therefore we need to apply ourselves to it immediately.
Dadi ngarang lamege dunde cherim denma ngarang sungdu sampege samtana de ngarang zulia oda dene ngai jesho sungdu chesa dene sungwanza dangati denden jegore sampege choala ji yongaya anzu choage le la yorwa dene enza je cherim chingale labjo ngarang sungsong ta chesa ngi gangdu jidu jiin sampe samlora dango gorwa adi.
What I've been saying here, I would assume most of you, if not all of you, have heard many times before. And if, when you're hearing it now again, you're thinking, I've heard this many times before, but yet it doesn't dominate my mind. Yet it still seems quite abstract to me. You need to then take this advice from Geshe Rinpoche as being personal advice to each and one of us in particular, not just something general that is often repeated and that, yes, it makes sense and we nod and we agree, just like if we were watching a documentary and what the facts that are being presented make sense. This isn't just a truth that's relevant out there. We need to understand it, that it's relevant to us as individuals. That what we have attained in this life is of incredible rarity and preciousness, but that this opportunity will not last, and it almost certainly will not last as long as we expect it to. And if we take that and we apply it to ourselves individually, then this understanding can have the desired impact, the impact that we desire to have, it will then be able to have.
Lamga Yagachi Tigenchidan, Duach Tigenchi Yungurwa. Tangazugila Nigagi, nobody Yudikanashi. Tangazuli, Lamga Yagachi Tarbata, Tamji Kimbo, Govangi, Dragi Dia, and Dradilla, Mazugi, Mazu, Samba Nala, some of the Guatache, and Tarbatam Chikibo to Kuru, Numo Bayad. Sazadan and Numo Bayad said, and some of Guatache. Some of you are never so good. It's not that some look on this Guatan or go home, Jamie Guatan mother, never. It's not that some you are not a caress and now to give some of the carriers in it. Now, so Dunga, that about Dunga, the answer Supu di Lanche, Dunga watching at some chicken near Supol Naya, Nakanga, you had the Sasan on the Lutin di Limbekingi, di Chavare, Yungorva. It's not the name some Lutin di Garalembas in Kiawangamagi, led on your mouth and Dedi Lankiawanga Zosarwada, that did Lutendi, you call Devu Trupsarwada. Tanganzola Mahombana Mayoyaki, Lutendi Nation, led on Yuma Wang Jumbi, Lutendi Mahombana Mayoyaki, Tabishedi, that in Anzo Chiherida. Digar Cheorasene, Manzola Mahombana Korvi Dunga Yoyaki, Gudigaras and Anzula, Duacha Contro Naya, Marikba, says, or Disugi. This one Anzula Yudir. On this occasion, Shukcher drove in a Desha Control Naja, Marikba says, Yorwa, this one Anzula Yudir. Digazi Shukche Bene, Digi Jinjene, Mazukiwachima, Ganga Mango Yagi, Tebu Yagi, Cutie Sayung. Tanganzo Desha, Tikipa Shukchung Diada, Control Shukchung Diada. Then Marikba said, My Shukchung, Nemiadi, Suedi, Manzukita. Some no gom, some tangitan, you are tangitan, Chevena, Jambi Samlota, and Xavier Samba, and Dame Topi Sher, Dendigi, Namja Sambegi, and the Mitaba, Namja Sambegi, Samlotigi, Yashu Drovena, Tesu, Yomodi, you should chun to war. Chazan Denigi, some standing on the Jimbata, Sujimna, Subian, Digi, Yashu Church Rovena, Digi, Udigi, Jawa Chimbalanzo, Digi Yonaki. And Digi on the Tigor. There was a chicken Masona, Yahala chicken, the Garrison and Gugi, Jam Nije, Chanchu Sem, and the Jimba, the Chudum Subi Yamle. On Desu, some of the Digi, and answer the Yahala Tigore, Digilia Chol Tigore. Now the Duasha Control and Aya, Marikpa Digi got Tigors, and now the Duhan Chol Matigore. Just not chicken, now the Gulo Sushu chair yours and Duasha Control and Aya Maripa, the Shuche Chatter. Anzugila, Jamba, Zewa Yorubes in Yore, and a Jidang Anzugi, Namji, share of Yorubes in Yore, in a dish of Chunjumada Yomara. That did Nuba Chertang wars, Nuba Chersa war.
If one when one comes to make the decision that from now, I'm going to utilize what remains of this opportunity to the very best of my ability. Having made such a commitment, then one can imagine oneself at a fork in a road, where one can go in one of two directions. One either can go in a wholesome direction or an unwholesome direction. And so these are directions we actually travel in anyway. Whether we make a commitment to live a spiritual life or develop spiritually or not, we will always be heading in one of these two directions. Because what is motivating us in a wholesome or an unwholesome direction is our mind. If we are not consciously developing spiritual minds, then whichever direction we are going in, this will just happen spontaneously or naturally within us. And then if our afflicted minds happen to be stronger, minds such as jealousy and attachment and anger, we will go in this unwholesome direction, leading towards further suffering in this life, as well as creating the causes for further suffering in future lives. Similarly, if we just following the natural flow of our lives, and when virtuous minds arise, then we will go in a virtuous direction, accumulating causes for happiness in this and in future lives. But if we make the commitment to live a spiritual life, in other words, to train our mind, to develop our mind, then we're making the commitment to pursue the wholesome path, and this comes about through cultivating the virtuous minds within ourselves. And as easy or difficult as we find that, is dependent on the causes that we have accumulated in the past, and thereby whose results we are experiencing now. So we can understand that in the sense of this body, this life that we have now, that we've been experiencing throughout this life, has come about in dependence on causes we ourselves accumulated in the past and have ripened in this life. And whilst we have this body and this life that has so many freedoms and opportunities for spiritual development, this body also serves as the basis for so much suffering that we've experienced, and so all the problems and difficulties that we experience. So when we look at it like this, we can come to see this, that there are these two directions, the one of suffering and the one that's leading towards freedom. And we have the choice as to which way we intentionally seek to go. And the more difficult it is to intentionally go in a particular, in the virtuous direction, is just due to our lack of familiarity with that direction. But through cultivating familiarity, then we will find it much easier to develop our minds in a virtuous direction. Because what we are trying to do in brief is just change our minds or develop our minds. This is it. This is what we are trying to do. Change our way of thinking. Change our way of relating to everything that appears in our mind. This is what we are trying to do. And how do we do this? Receiving teachings, reflecting on those teachings, meditating on those teachings repeatedly over a sustained period. And through that process, our afflicted minds start to weaken and our virtuous minds strengthen. And we understand this through an analogy of a scale. On the one hand, as we develop our various minds of wisdom, such as the wisdom understanding coarse impermanence, as well as the wisdom understanding subtle impermanence, and various degrees of profundity of our understanding of dependence arising, and thereby various degrees of profundity of our understanding of the emptiness of inherent existence. As we develop this side of the scale, the other side, which are all our afflicted minds, they start to lose their power. They lose their strength, both in terms of the frequency as well as the strength of their ripening. And this then means it's much easier for us to go with consistency on the wholesome path, a path that is leading towards happiness in this as well as future lives, a path that is leading us away from suffering, a path that is leading us to develop the skills to be of true and lasting benefits to others. So we need to all individually have a close and an honest look at ourselves, see which direction our mind naturally, spontaneously goes in. And then, with the commitment to use what remains of this life well, we develop the wholesome minds that we already have, we develop them further, and we commit to always trying to act under the influence of only these virtuous minds.
Samlodi shukchar tangwanza ta dangbo khorang samdang dene ta namgin shudi wala chibare ta kan juge ta sosu dunga rushik dunga yongta ti sosol ya dunga kan de yungme samta di membige ta nga juge dunro ta mi da kanga dunga di dine yungme samta ya dunga di pemas dunga di 즉 되네기 강아지기 파 삼다다 강아 되네 용도 강아 될때 탈고도 선배게 당보 강아지기 동아되게 야네 양도라 삼 되네 용도가 되네 동아 삼당에도 오다 동아 될래 말단데 탑민도 동아 될래 탈고도 선배 삼로시 고고걸 당하죠 디 삼로 장고 당보 동아 용다다 강아 체다되게 파 삼당 오다디 강아지기 체 탈고도 다 제마 안베네 셈제로직 냐로직 심제 마시가야 고 두부두기 아니 멜세 되는 지기변 나자가제 강아 같이 나 되는 지리기에 제가 tum나 말라 강아 간 중국에 선비가 삼두신 어제다 되는게 누가되게 타고도 선비게 마탄다 탑민도 선비다 되는게 누가되 탈두게 삼게 돼 당보 누가 삼다 된 누가데 마자를 누가들 탈두게 삼다디 당보 제시셔들이 차고래
The first step in the meditation is to come to understand our situation, to come to understand how suffering pervades our situation. And we need to understand, in this meditation, we need to think of our own situation, not think about the suffering that other beings are experiencing, but look at the suffering that we have experienced in this life and perhaps are experiencing right now. And we need to look at the suffering start with coarser levels of suffering, but then dig down to subtler levels of suffering that we have experienced. And we need to, although it's uncomfortable, we need to recall the suffering in a way that is vivid, so that we recall the pain that we felt at difficult points in our life. Because the purpose of this mental discomfort is to give rise to the wish, may I never have to suffer like that again. May I never have to suffer like that again. And then when we've given rise to this determination not to suffer like this again in relation to what we have experienced, then we can think about suffering that we observe in the world, and whether it's a suffering experienced by humans or non-humans. So for example, if we see a fish being caught, and we see its tremendous terror as it flaps wildly, trying to get free of this iron hook in its mouth, and then we see it slowly flapping less, and it's the life leaving it. We know that is a being filled with terror, and its life has been taken from it against its will. We can then observe suffering such as that and all other forms that we observe in the world, but then we need to relate it to ourselves. How would it be if I were to suffer like this? How would it be if in my very next life I am born in a river or in the ocean and I am caught in this way and my death is brought in such a way? And in this way, we need to make this fear for such a rebirth vivid within us, so that once again the strong wish to never have to suffer like this arises. So what we're trying to do in this first part of the meditation is to gain a realistic understanding of the various forms of suffering, both coarse, like has been explained, but also the subtle levels, these sufferings that we have and are experiencing and will continue to experience as long as we continue to remain trapped in this prison of samsara.
dine zada kowa dine gi dunga de la targudu sempege da tarbe tarba se togudu jizanda tarba toyala dine gi yaya gi dunga yaya gyudi de an nyomo ba re shas jiza nyomo be le da nyomo be ongli jiza nyomo ba de pangba ne tarba togudu jiza nyomo ba panggudu sempege samda jinene nyomo pangba tarba de ma tabmenu tarba togudu sempe samda da dine andi jelya 지자 랑세디 랑타바토 시심전 차사 아니 강안을 홍되바나 니디기 미두스 랑나 시심전 차사 대화되바다 동음에도 직바 지자 심전타 이제 대화다 되나 선비 삼로치다 근데 심전은 저 동화단 자와쇼 동화 자고도 선비게 아니 니지 삼다 안디네 다 심전은 저 동화단 자와다 심전은 저 아니 디기 주비하기 딩이 두고도 세상에 디 주비하기 된다려 펜바 심지 담젤레 펜바 주고도 제사 라전 상마 동안에 자고도 대화 된고도 네 인장이 아니 산유고방도 마tum다 탑미누스베 산유고방 토바쇼 선배 삼다이디 안데 잠니제다 자주 셈삼다데 차고래.
The first part of the meditation then culminates in the determination to attain a state that is liberated from suffering, a state freed from suffering. And this only comes about in dependence on meditating on suffering, and doing so in a way that is vivid to oneself, so that this tremendous fear arises for suffering, and thereby, in dependence on this, the determination to be freed of ever having to suffer like this again. Then the meditation progresses to the second point, which here we can present briefly, which is what are the causes of suffering. And that, as was mentioned earlier, are our various afflicted minds that come from a root cause of ignorance of self-grasping. And the only way to attain this desired liberation is to eliminate that root cause of our suffering, the ignorance of self-grasping. So that then is the second point of the meditation, and immediately we can move to the third point. Now, thus far in the meditation, we've been concentrating on our own experience, our own fear, developing our own fear for suffering and wish to be liberated, and understanding why we are trapped in suffering. Now, for the first time, we turn our attention to the position of other sentient beings. And we remind ourselves that being trapped in this state of suffering, always with the potential of our situation changing for the worse, and perhaps to an impossible to imagine situation such as falling into the lower realms. This is always a potential that may befall us. And this is something that is not unique to just myself and one or two others, but it's a situation for each and every ordinary being without exception. All beings are suffering against their will. No being wants this. All beings want to actually be freed and liberated from suffering. All beings want to experience lasting, stable happiness. However, not only do I and all beings share this wish for lasting, stable happiness, but all beings are the same as me in that they remain trapped in this iron net of suffering due to their own mind of the ignorance of self-grasping and all its resulting afflictions. So here we dissolve the difference between ourselves and others, seeing that we are all the same in wanting to be freed, but we all remain bound due to the same reason, our own minds of ignorance of self-grasping. Here then, seeing the situation of other sentient beings, compassion arises for their situation. We can take this compassion and develop it, and as well as the mind of love, generating the strong wish, may there be all beings be freed of the suffering, and may all beings attain a state of lasting happiness. And we develop this further to the point where we take responsibility for the welfare of others. We see it as our individual responsibility that each and every sentient being is freed from suffering. And we make the commitment that we develop ourselves so that we can become the most skilled of guides and thereby lead or train or guide beings in how to liberate themselves from suffering and attain their own individual enlightenment. And the only way that we can become such a skilled guide is to strive ourselves to attain the state of Buddhahood in order to be of benefit to others. And in this generation of the mind of bodhicitta is the third step in the meditation.
Longche kari thone na shanlia pembe chawa tu shanlia tangi sampi di samlo de nganzu yana do komo jikse ta dene ani di chimbe nyamne sigore dene ya lunga yusum yukone shanla nebe chawa sa zawo yin jigme sampi samlo di yana do samdang wa shagore di chutum gi nyamne je chagore ta dene ta jig shengi rang la neba da rangi kanga chaba kan se sem machu ba khoro malang ba che sem shidi ane je lingja da ne de tu ba ji yin san be sam la sta di sui bi nyam na si gore sina da yang de ni ge shen le pen be cha wa da ane je ge ge ju shen Nubi Jawa Sunya Dang, Geju Jubiale, Yapure, some Gashin, Drishing when the Jera was Bay Yapure, some Gashin, Drishing on the somebody, some diety, Zunjin Yam the Chagorwa. And the other someday they teaching to Yada, didn't answer, and don't you to share up Platon to be at the Chagore. Just and do General Anzuki, Ninilia, needed some Dana Dordurovic, Shesha, then as Shugachilia, and Ninin like the naked Kustus to some Tana, and Tangy in some of the Yanger, Jandor says, you share to Rua.
And the fourth step of the meditation. So now we've generated this sincere commitment to spiritually develop ourselves in order to be of greatest benefit to others, to help others, be freed of suffering through through training and guiding them in their spiritual development. So with such a mind within us, the fourth step of the meditation will arise very easily. Firstly, with a commitment to always work for the welfare of others, to have as our guiding principle to be of benefit to others, whether we express it physically or verbally, and certainly guided by a mind that is committed to bringing benefit to others. So this is the practice of generosity, the wish to support, the wish to benefit others. And this can be practiced through offering material generosity, or through the way of speaking, or and certainly through our mental attitude. And then accompanying this arises the wish not to bring any harm to others, certainly not physically, not through our way of speaking, and not even in our way of thinking. And this is the practice of ethics, the commitment not to bring harm. And the third mind, the mind of patience, also arises in dependence on this prior development of love and compassion and bodhicitta. And this mind of patience commits that having now committed to working for the welfare of others and always being of benefit to them and never harming, then the mind of patience, in dependence on that, arises very easily. No matter how others treat me, no matter what others do or say towards me, my mind will stay undisturbed, and my mind will remain dominated by the wish to be of benefit to them. And when the source of potential disturbance is not from others but from my own inner turmoil, I will remain undisturbed by that, and I will remain committed to striving through whatever these difficulties, these inner difficulties are, so as to achieve this most worthwhile of goals. And this then is the practice of being patient with any difficulties, whether from others or from ourselves. And then for the fourth practice is the mind of joyous perseverance. Having given rise now to a strong commitment to strive with effort and with diligence for the goal of enlightenment for the sake of others, the aspect of perseverance comes very easily. And wanting to be of benefit and transform the lives of others, we will with delight engage in helping others whenever we can. With delight, we will accumulate virtue as often as we can. So therefore, in dependence on the prior cultivation of the mind, such as love and compassion and generosity, ethics and patience, joyous perseverance too arises easily. And then fourth and fifth are the practices of concentration and within the union with special insight, as well as the wisdom realizing emptiness. So these meditations, when they are new to one, they take time to cultivate. But if one with commitment trains one's mind repeatedly over a sustained period, then the familiarity, the habituation grows, and they arise far more easily and with greater strength in one.
Sanji Tempa di Yundu di Never Show Sada, Sosuki Lama di Kusi to Temper Show Semonan Jada, and then Niti Niki Kawa Tituba, Tene Simja Tamje, and Luki Naza, the Semu Dunga Tamje, she never chair, taking your shows Monam Jada. That the Dening in Najiba, Tene, Nkiwa Chima in a Gedi Nea, Sanji gave you singing Tembaji Teche, Dizane. Chiki Chushu, Chanju Senda, the Niki Yamnaja, Yon shows, and the Molam Jadi Gachimachagore.
And then finish this practice through prayer. And prayer is an important part to include. One can make one's aspirations in accordance with one's own wishes, but in general one should include here the strong and sincere aspiration that may we be a conduit for the virtuous activities of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and our teachers. May we become a conduit for their activities and thereby fulfill their innermost aspirations. In particular, may we be assistants to our teachers and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the fulfillment of their innermost aspiration, which is the elimination of suffering for all beings. And then furthermore, we request blessings that these various minds we are training in the cultivation of, such as this clear realization of suffering and its causes, as well as the minds of bodhicitta and the various practices such as generosity, ethics, patience, etc., as well as in particular wisdom, that all of these come about as quickly as possible for the benefit of all beings.
labjedige samnatayagi tordirochik dineshe da sosorarang yang samnatayagi lui joba dusudang danjigi sosogi nubet yoba nanga zo kisin shebana je mashe tinjen jeso yuan jamba deni and ni je chembo deni lasan namba den jaju sem gomya deni samdai rimbaji yorwa de samda shurwa and that the dusura jinga zo dusu tongtong ji na deni samna shirara ya ji gyachimora chi le madu wa nanga zo dishi samdana na shinchi tu 당원의 길을 장 돌자 책으로 어디 가서 장신 참마다 나랑 당가서 차상기 안 되는게 삼당고에디 야네 당고에디 예치 맞아요. 어디는 나 상인은 저 쉬야지만 안 제름 책에 안 책이 되는게 상유 좀 낸디기 숨되게 퇴섬 되는게 제가 마시 야 하나야 거부다 되는게 지 안디 마 상유 손색 마 직된되게 남시 된데 좀
What has been presented tonight has now already been summarized, so I don't need to summarize it again. But it's my sincerest wish that all of you train in the way that has been presented, either the way that has been presented tonight or in the more detailed presentations we've had in previous sessions, where, for example, the generation of bodhicitta, we spoke about how to utilize the 6 cause and 1 effect method, where you're reflecting on how all beings have been our mothers, their tremendous kindness, as well as then giving rise to the wish of to repay the kindness and so forth. And in particular, as we are in the context of dependent arising, if you can incorporate your understanding of dependent arising in each of those points,